where we start. Welcome to College Football Chatter. I'm your host, Reed Napper. Thank you for joining us. What is Penn State doing? Where else do we start? And where else do we start other than State College, Pennsylvania, where apparently nothing is happening. Nothing at all. Nothing is happening. You throw every candidate under the sun as a potential hire for Penn State, and no one wants to go there. Probably because the root of the problem was the one that started this whole thing. Patrick Kraft. If you ever listen to this, you are the root of the problem. You started this whole damn thing. Yes, James Franklin couldn't win a big game to save his life. Yes, he was 4-21 against top 10 opponents. Yes, we were one play away from a national championship last year. And the root of the problem wasn't even on the coaching staff. Like, bro, Patrick Kraft has been the problem this whole time. I literally have no words. That is my true belief. He is the root of the problem. It's one thing to boo your head coach off the field after your team loses. Did anyone just take into account that maybe this was a down year? It just wasn't going to work with everyone returning? Did anyone account for that? Like, I'm the only one who has to put that out there. I'm also the only one who has to put out that we should hire Terry Smith for 2 years and then just look again in 2-year cycles. Like, I am at a loss for words as a Penn State fan. Like, and pretty much the whole Penn State community is as well. It has now been, I'm going to say today's over. It has now been going on 52 days since James Franklin has been fired. And again, every candidate under the sun has been linked or at least put out there for the Penn State job. And we are not even close to hiring someone. We are not even close. People want to throw out Jeff Brom now. Like, that won't happen. He's looking at Penn State. It's like, oh, that thing is on fire. Why would I ever go towards something that is on fire? Like, Colton Roddy Sosa, please put me out of my misery. That's all I'm going to say. Put me out of my misery.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Colton. You shoot him first. You shoot him first.
Okay. I think you said it best, man. It's a fire right now. Penn State got caught in between a rock and a hard place, kind of, by being one of the first teams to fire the head coach before essentially half the country fired their coach.
Not one of the first teams, the first team.
Right. So immediately you go from the top job to maybe third, and then once we kind of figure out who's on the market as coaches, after extensions are given out, as people are getting snagged up by conference rivals, Lane Kiffin, you kind of have this suspicion that, well, Penn State, since they were the first team on the ship and seemingly the last team off the ship, that they've swung and missed big. When they fired James Franklin, the idea was to upgrade, but unfortunately, James Franklin isn't a top 30 coach. He was probably closer to top 10, and like you said, probably just having a down year. He was a solid recruiter, obviously not elite of the elite. Couldn't beat the Ohio States of the world. Couldn't beat the UCLAs of the world this year. But essentially, if you're Penn State, you're looking at a job that isn't as sought after as an LSU or a Florida. And once you're taking those big swings and misses and people are coming off the board, now you're looking at potentially getting, like I said from the beginning, a Brian Hartline would be a good option. but these are no longer clear upgrades. And I don't think from the beginning that even though Penn State wanted to upgrade, that they were necessarily going to do that, just because, they're not in Alabama where Nick Saban retires and immediately the top 5 coaches in the market are on the clock in terms of who's going to take the job. Now, with that, I still think Penn State can sign a solid head coach to take them out of this, but with the with the absolute train wreck we just witnessed over the past day of attempting to go after Kalani Sitake, which I was never a fan of. I like Kalani Sitake at BYU. I think that's a perfect fit. I don't think it gets better if you're BYU, which is, I think, why I assume they know that, and that's why they're throwing everything they have at him. But from the beginning, that to me did not seem like a good fit. But I mean, he's been a solid coach for BYU for a decade. I guess, it was kind of, at least it's somebody. And for that to completely fall through at the absolute last second, I agree. It is an absolute travesty. Penn State is on the outside looking in of a, great hire. I think there's still a couple candidates you can make a case for in terms of being an upgrade down the road. But to me, if Penn State is still looking for a coach and Kentucky already hired Will Stein, an elite offensive coordinator, a great recruiter, to me, it's a complete and total failure by that administration.
Yeah, have to agree with everything Colton said, buddy. And I love the best takes that I've heard about this is from one Bud Elliott. Great follow on here if y'all don't follow Bud. The 2 things that he said. One thing is that, of course, a requirement to be the head coach at Brigham Young University, you have to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So that would mean that the scope of coaches that BYU could hire is incredibly small. And the scope of coaches that Penn State can hire is incredibly large. So if Kalani wanted to really use his leverage, which I don't even really think he used his leverage, dog. I just didn't think he just straight up told him no. So the scope is rather large for Penn State potential hires. So to go after that guy, it's telling you like they have no idea. They're just throwing shit at the wall at this point. And then also, and I said this before, with, my take on, did you think you were going to get better? Like, sometimes your AD thinks that, like, he has to restart the hype train. And sometimes it is cheaper to pay a buyout than potentially risk losing season ticket holders, risk losing boosters, risk losing, just fans in the stadium and premier marquee games in general. Like, it's sometimes paying the buyout is better. So I think after the hype that they got this year, starting off as the number 2 team in the country, falling out of the rankings completely, I think it's very difficult for you to, just have the same level of hype that things were going to get better. And that's what I think ended up getting James fired. But now you're here. Kids are going to make their decisions, in like 15 hours on where they want to go to school for the next 3, maybe 4 years. And you don't have a head coach. Like, this is bad, man. This is really, really bad. So I think as soon as the Sitake stuff broke down, like, I would not be surprised if they don't just make the Terry Smith move like in the morning. But even then, like, I think you had to make that move on Monday, dog. Like, I don't know why you wait until 15 hours before to kind of be like, well, damn, we're screwed. What are we gonna do? So this is bad, man. This is really bad. That's all I can say.
And one more thing that I would like to add, I saw Josh Pate make a great point about this I guess journey that Penn State has been on
With Matt
when you
Campbell?
fire James Franklin. Do what?
With Matt Campbell?
Well, that, and essentially, instead of just going for a candidate who is solid, they shot for the stars, which power to them. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you settle on, and I know Kalen DeBoer was an outside shot. They've had Josh Heupel is a name that was thrown around for all of 2 hours before being shot down. When you shoot for the stars and miss, it makes not going after a solid guy like a Clark Lee before he's extended, a Matt Campbell, a Brent Key, the guys who have overperformed with much, much less in terms of resources. It makes you not going after just one of those guys, hoping that you can land some all-star home run candidate that nobody ever expected. It makes that kind of decision look very, very weak, very, very short-sighted, and essentially, all that is to say, you man, it's so hard to navigate because with the Kalen DeBoer thing, there was a solid chance. There were inside rumblings, you know what I'm saying? And I don't hate necessarily the idea of going after that big of a swing, but you're essentially banking on a coach losing and getting fired and then hiring that guy. That doesn't make any sense. It's not a mindset that you should go into as an athletic department in terms of getting better. To me, that just screams, very desperate, which is definitely not what you want to come off as when you fired a guy who gave you some very, very great seasons and essentially took your program from the dead a long time ago. I know that's mostly forgotten by now.
Mm-hmm.
But when you fire a guy like that and then you're swinging big, missing, and you look desperate, that is absolutely the worst case scenario for an athletic department. And like I think you either said outright, I had to go off the app for a second, or at least inferred, it is the kind of job, or that is the kind of decision that would result in you losing your job. And I think rightfully so, in my opinion. If they end up with Terry Smith, I like Terry Smith. He's a great coach. But that is a complete failure and a complete waste of everybody's time who's a Penn State fan. And that's not to say Terry Smith is necessarily bad. But to go from James Franklin to Terry Smith would be an absolute failure, even if Terry Smith, has a great year next year, in my opinion. And a great year for Terry Smith next year, I think, would be probably 9-3 or 8-4.
So good evening.
What's up, bro? I think you're a little bit negative here, bro. If anything, it just screams you guys are broke. And I don't think you guys are broke, but I don't know what it is, bro. I think that this is just a massive fumble by the athletic director. It also makes me wonder, like, what direction does Penn State want to go in? Because they just had one of the most traditional coaches that you could have. You want to go to a new place as far as, like, video game offense. Like, it seems like Penn State set some level of requirement for the job, but there's no requirement for the job because no one's taking it. And it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to O&O or Perlito or Reed, but for James Franklin to get fired and hired before you find his replacement is insane.
Yeah, they fired him without a plan. That's exactly what happened.
Fucking insane.
That's exactly.
And the thing is that he's already gotten multiple guys to flip from Penn State to Virginia Tech.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You fired him without a plan.
They're losing right now, and yeah, it's a knee jerk. Like the firing was a knee jerk reaction, and it's looking like it now because every other school had a plan. Florida had a plan. Florida had a plan as soon as Lane said he wasn't coming. Right? Florida had a plan as soon as they called Lane, and Lane was like, "Yeah, I'm not coming there." They knew what the fuck they were going to do.
Yep.
Right? And you've seen it. The only reason these guys the only reason the guys signed after Lane was because we didn't know the exact financials of the deal for Lane. And obviously Lane's deal affects every major coach in America because it's going to call for a pay raise for about 6 guys after the playoffs are done. I mean, y'all know that. Like, there's no way, like, Kalen DeBoer makes a college football playoff. There's no way he could be making less money or that much less. You know what I mean? It's the same goes. Ryan Day probably, if he wins a championship, there's no way that you can justify Lane Kiffin making more money than him, can you? So he would have to have a raise, right? If Marcus Freeman as well. So all these coaches are in line to get more money because Lane reset the market for a lot of them. So, my thing with Penn State is you just got to pray right now, bro, that they got something that they just haven't shared with their fan base or the people or general public. Because I really think that's all that can really save you. I don't like where it's going, and I don't like the retention of a guy who worked for a guy that got fired. I think that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the biggest day of the recruiting calendar is in 15 hours, though. So there's no one in the tuck, bro. I know you're trying to be positive for Reed, but there's no one in the tuck, dog. they would have made themselves known by now.
and that transitions to the next thing I wanted to talk about. So I pulled up 247 Sports recruit rankings for this upcoming class. So Penn State currently ranks 130th in recruiting classes. They have 5 commits still only left. Some teams that are above Penn State at this current moment: Harvard, Cal Poly, Louisiana Monroe, UC Davis, FAU, Northern Arizona, Southern Mississippi, Connecticut. Shout out Connecticut, Colton. Coastal Carolina, Kennesaw State, Louisiana. The list goes on and on. You mean to tell me that there's a chance that FCS schools are going to out-recruit Penn State? Like Harvard, I get it. It's an academic institution first. But you're telling me Harvard has 12 commits and they're above Penn State, bro?
Yeah, that's a little bit hyperbolic. Whatever coach you pull, whatever coach pulls up, you're gonna get some guys. That won't hold true. I know right now it looks bad, but I think it's a little bit more sensationalized right now because it's not as bad as that picture shows.
No, I agree. Especially whoever.
It's bad though. It's bad. I'm not gonna lie. It's bad.
If anyone comes in, because I think the current coach is in the building right now. If anyone comes in, they're gonna have to bring players through the portal. That's without a doubt. But I'll say this again: take Terry Smith for 2 years, cut your losses. You put yourself in this position. Take Terry Smith for 2 years, and then look again in 2 years' time. That's your best. That is your best option, because at least Terry and the current staff can at least get some recruits in, get some people in the portal to at least sell Penn State. If you bring in a new coach right now, what the fuck are they going to sell other than themselves? They have nothing to sell on Penn State because they don't know jack anything about it. They don't know jack shit about Penn State. If you get a coach right now,
I feel like you guys, like the people up here are smart. I mean, O&O is a smart guy. So is Perlito. Colton, you're a smart dude. My thing is this.
Thank you.
If you're Penn State, right? Who the fuck? What are you looking for? What is your selling point? What is your requirement as a program?
So Pat Kraft said the day on the Franklin firing, he is looking for someone that brings mental toughness, someone that embodies Penn State grit, blue collar, like won't tolerate any shit basically, and won't like look for someone who's strictly looking for a paycheck, like someone that wants to be at Penn State. Pat Kraft, throw the fucking money at anybody. Like for real, bro. You're not gonna like you've swung and missed on potential coaches that are like cut a Penn State cloth, if I want to say it that way. Like you're gonna have to pull an LSU. You are gonna have to throw the bag at somebody at some point. We are going on over 50 days, bro. There's rumors like we barely have put out any offers to anybody. And then another report last night after Will Stein got hired by Kentucky, like he came off, quote, raw in the interview with Penn State. Yeah, okay. So you mean to tell me Ryan Day, Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, fucking Kalen DeBoer didn't come off raw in their interviews. Like, they're football coaches, bro. What did you expect them to be? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, I don't know what you expected to get from football coaches, like requesting for a job at Penn State. Like, I don't understand. Roddy, this shit's cutting out.
Yeah, it was. When I dropped down, I just joined the Wi-Fi because I got in the crib. But yeah, it's cutting in and out.
Man, what the fuck?
Ooh, now you're good, bro.
Like my night couldn't get any fucking worse.
It's not funny, but I'm just. Yeah.
No, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. You're allowed to laugh. Like.
Yeah.
Oh no!
man.
Did you answer? Did you say anything by chance? I didn't hear anything. Like what? Like in this day and age of NIL, what makes a good coach? Because it doesn't feel like any kid is pulling up because of a coach.
Well, if you're talking like in general, what would make a good coach in today's is just talent retention and acquisition. Because you can be a good developing coach like a Kirk Ferentz, who brings in 3 stars, brings in not bottom of the barrel, but diamonds in the rough, to put it best, and turns them into NFL players. But Iowa isn't.
He gets those corn-fed boys that are just athletic because they eat corn.
But in today's, you got to acquire talent and you got to keep it. And that's essentially it. It's essentially just the NFL, but the light version, and you having to mix in, economics 101 somewhere in the middle of that. But for Penn State, I would say, before this whole shebang kicked off, it was one of the best looked at jobs, I'd say, on the market because of how stable it was with James Franklin. And coming off of that, if you wanted to fire James Franklin, I mean, at least it's easy to say in hindsight, but I don't see when it happened, it shocked me. I will say that. And I understand that, losing to UCLA is unacceptable, but I didn't see the purpose necessarily in firing him in the middle of the season, because at best, immediately you're the top job in the market, like what happened. But then at worst, you get overshadowed by a bunch of other teams who follow suit, like the LSUs, the Floridas of the world, maybe even the Auburns, and you become kind of the third-rate job on the market. And to me, if you wanted to have the best possible odds to hire a guy, you wait until the end of the season, because James Franklin, you can just put it all on James Franklin. I know they did that anyways, but if Penn State finishes 6-6 with James Franklin this year, obviously it's like, okay, it's run its course. It's not going to work out. I don't think that would have happened. I think they probably finish 8-4 at least, and they might even hang on to him. But with all the other stuff that happened, but it felt reactionary at the time, and I think now that we know exactly what happened, I think we know it was. And for Penn State, it isn't a matter of you're the top job in the market. It's you're a top brand on the market. But with everything that's going on, I don't know if there's a coach necessarily that's in that upper echelon, maybe even an A or a B tier coach, like a current head coach that's in that level, that would look at the Penn State job and be like, yep, I will uproot my life and move to Happy Valley. I don't know if there is a coach that would.
BK is available.
Wait, Roddy. Okay,
Reasonable
wait, Roddy. Hold on. Before you go into that thought, hey, Sosa, just because you're in the listeners, can you throw up a thumbs up if it sounds clear or if it's still choppy? I really fucking hope it's clear. Sosa or Q, just throw up a thumbs up real quick if it sounds good. I hope. Thumbs up, 100, just something. I need to know it sounds clear so I don't need to reset it again.
Damn.
Because if I need to reset it again, I'm just going to cut my losses and fucking... Okay, bet. Thank you, Q. All right, we're good. We're good. Go ahead, Roddy. You're talking about that fraud former LSU coach.
Hey man, I mean, I think it would be a dumb decision, but like, bro, I'm just thinking of damage control options at this point for y'all. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm as stumped as Pat Kraft probably is.
Their best option is to just keep Terry, bro. I am telling you. Even Tony Rojas said it himself. He posted this 2 hours ago. Quote, "This is just funny at this point, not going to lie. Well, we might go a whole season with no head coach when we clearly got a head coach right upstairs in the office. I don't understand."
Yeah,
fair. Like, bro, the players weren't kidding when they wanted Penn State to hire Terry Smith.
Mm-hmm. Hey, listening to the players isn't always wise, but I mean, shit. What other option do you have at this point?
I think what the play is this. I think the enticing part is the money. Okay, you can make up for the early signing period as long as you got bread, as long as you got paper. I think ultimately that's the silver lining for Penn State. If you're gonna fire a James Franklin, you know what's required if you're gonna reach like Ono said about player acquisition and player retention. They still gonna have a big bag of money to offer kids. That's not gonna change. So I think that panicking, I don't think you panic at a school like Penn State. School like Ole Miss, they better not miss on their next hire because they could be dead for the next 20 years. Penn State, they got the money that can ultimately get them out of anything. So that's how I'm looking at it.
No, I can guarantee you Golding isn't going to be there for longer than 3 years. I can almost assure you of that. But, I mean, I kind of commend them because they got screwed. And they're like, fuck it, we got to do damage control. And they made a decision.
Man, I'm going to be putting out my prediction for Penn State next year. I'm going to say like fucking 3-9 at best. We're going to have no team. We're going to have no team. We have over 30 seniors graduating.
No way you're that bad. 3-9.
You don't know who's going to leave.
At this point, I honestly, this might sound a little rash, but I honestly think Penn State could circle back and hire Matt Rule.
Oh, that's what's going to happen, brother.
Sosa's been saying that for a minute now.
I said that the day he signed the extension.
Yep.
Because what the number one thing that's most important is the buyout number. It's a low buyout. It's not a crazy buyout. If it was a crazy buyout, I would be hesitant. It's not a crazy buyout.
Yep. Yeah, it's a matter of it could have been viewed as like a safety option because when Nebraska re-upped his contract, they just added years and then gave him more in terms of NIL pool. So there wasn't really a ton of, we're not going to add $5 million on top of that. We're just going to extend the contract by a couple years. So for Penn State, it's kind of like, oh, we'll do all this knowing in our back pocket we still could do that. And it's Pat Kraft's guy. They're best buddies. They probably were at each other's Thanksgivings and they were probably talking about it. Pat Kraft's like, yeah, I'm gonna try and get DeBoer, and that's not gonna work. And then, are you down? You know what I'm saying? It's probably one of those deals.
I don't know if he's coming in here because he's had to work. Jake dropped a bomb. I might have to text y'all about it because I don't know if he wants this info to get out.
What?
But DeBoer, per Jake's sources, is looking at a job, but it ain't Penn State.
If it's Jake, there's only one job it could be.
Oh, there we go, brother. You're a smart cookie.
Per his sources, man.
Hey, this same person allegedly told him about Bryce flipping, so might be legit. That's all I'll say. But anyway, yeah. But so Colton, in this instance, though, when are you going to pull the trigger on this? Because what? How many games did Nebraska win? Are they going bowling?
They are. They're 7-5.
Okay. I mean, what are they waiting for? I'm sure they're in conversations with them. They have to be because, like, you're literally on like last stitch options at this point. So you have to have elite contact with them.
I feel like it could just be coach speak, which is what that hypothetical I was talking about was based off of. But if Matt Rule actually does want to stay at Nebraska, then it's probably just a matter of him deciding whether or not he's going to stay because Nebraska just fired their defensive coordinator. They're in the midst of, trying to figure out what bowl game, getting a new hire, and recruiting, obviously. So if the tides kind of stay still there and you don't see anything big like a new hire, I assume if Nebraska hires a defensive coordinator for next season, if they do that before their bowl game, then Matt Rule stays at Nebraska. But if he already announced that Phil Snow, I think not the general manager, but like a defensive assistant is going to be the interim defensive coordinator, which leads me to have the idea that he just kind of walks into the bowl game with interim defensive coordinator, and then after that, if Penn State doesn't have a coach, very, very well it could all add up in that case.
Yeah, I get it. Fair enough. Hey, man. This is all very funny. Not really for Reed, but for everyone else.
Just wait till you watch the recording back and you see my face this whole time.
Hey, man. I already said we're losing this weekend, but we'll get to that later.
Bro, man. Why you always doubt your team?
Because I was molded by this. I was born in this.
Oh, yeah, because the worst day of your life was in 2012?
Look, that game comes on the timeline every time we play them. And every time I play them, I say that is the worst day of my life. And y'all think I'm playing when I say that. I literally, 2012? I'm 28 now. I was 13 years ago. I was 15. I almost cried, bro. Real shit.
Yeah, well, the current events of Penn State are about to make me cry. So,
hey, man. We've been there.
Colin, your guy Tosh Lupoy gets hired by Cal, Oregon defensive coordinator, former Cal Golden Bear himself. Seems to be a good hire from all things considered, because Cal are abysmal defensively. But if they are able to keep JKS, then they got a shot in the next few years for sure. So, what are your thoughts here? Because you called this a few weeks ago.
Well, to me, this is not just a good hire. This is an elite hire, especially in the ACC. Dude is an amazing recruiter, first and foremost. He's going to be able, and it's Cal. You know what I'm saying? It's not Washington Western. You know what I'm saying? You're not in the middle of the woods. It's Cal. It's Cal Berkeley. Not necessarily a great basketball. Wow. Not necessarily a great football school, but they're going to be in the mix for a lot of dudes. Justin Wilcox was a great defensive mind, so it's not like it's not like Lupoy is some generational defensive mind that's going to come in and fix all their problems. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily think he will do that alone. I think he needs help. But in terms of, like I said, talent acquisition and talent retention, he's going to be able to acquire talent at an elite level. And I think that is especially the kind of trend we're going to see with a lot of these coaches, like John Summerall at Florida, like Will Stein now at Kentucky. You're going to have to acquire elite talent, especially in whatever region you're in order to have success in college football.
For sure. Totally agree. Especially in the ACC nowadays, like it's completely winnable any season, no matter who the team is. So, Roddy, any thoughts on Lupoy's hiring at Cal?
Slam dunk. Also, Jay, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like entering next year, they got the best quarterback in the country. To me, he's my top quarterback entering next year.
I don't hate that shout.
I mean,
I don't hate that.
I know. I think JKS might be one of them ones, bro. He is really, really good. I mean, like really good.
Yeah, I mean, ever since the first game,
you can't tell me. Hold on, you can't tell me he can't do what Sands doing.
He needs 2 aliens first. That was hate. He needs 2 aliens, and then he could.
JKS is insanely good at quarterbacking, bro.
Yeah, he's a great talent. Certainly, maybe I don't know how he feels about the hire, obviously, but hopefully that retains him. For Cal's sake. But I agree with Colton. I mean, desirable destination. It is an academic school, so that is maybe one roadblock. But other than that, I think it's a great hire. I mean, that defense was nasty this year. They've got a lot of guys who's going to play on the next level, so you're going to be able to get them, the promise of being able to play at the next level. And I mean, come on, we're talking about a coach in the ACC, man. You just have to have a decent defense. You might have the best quarterback if he stays. I'm sure he's going to get read up in terms of his NIL.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, I'm not mad at it. Shout out to him.
Yeah, speaking of NIL, how much you think Vanderbilt's throwing at Jared Curtis now that he flipped from your Dogs?
More than us. I don't know. So, from what I heard, his dad and them have been going around town saying he's flipping or he's not leaving, he's staying home, blah, 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 blah. He, and I'm sure you saw his tweet.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, I haven't talked to anybody, blah, 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 blah. But if you're even talking to him, you're gone. Like, it's kind of similar with the Lane situation. Like, if you're entertaining it, like, you're gone. And I get it. I mean, I'm watching Gunner highlights right now on the news. But Gunner's coming back.
Of course you are. Of course
hey,
you
man,
are.
Look, Fox does a little, Fox in Atlanta does.
You have that shit on repeat, bro. You're just running the YouTube highlights all day, every day.
Yeah, that's the best draw I'm gonna feel this week. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, Gunner's coming back. So, and then we got Puglisi. I mean, he was a 5-star, highly sought after.
Mm-hmm.
Don't love how he's looked in the backup role, but I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, I we'll see what happens. I mean, if he flips, he flips. I can't be mad at that. It is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely a great get by Lee, mainly because you're most likely going to lose Pavia this season unless he somehow pulls off another miracle, like with the what was he? No, he wasn't suing the NCAA, right? But if he pulls off another miracle with the NCAA to get another year eligibility, like I think that just shows the caliber that Vanderbilt is ascending to, not only on the field right now, but also like you're getting these players mainly because they changed their academic requirements to allow better football players to go to Vanderbilt. They changed a bunch of their academic requirements, so you don't have to get the smartest kids now to pull up at Vanderbilt. You can get the better football player. Like I think that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about really, is how they change their academic requirements. So you're capable of getting these big time players now, personally. So I just think that's something that's not really being brought up too much.
Yeah, salute to him. But line it up if he flips.
Speaking of line it up, LSU. I know we've prefaced this bunch in a lot of spaces. But any final thoughts on LSU hiring Lane Kiffin aside from it's a slam dunk hire? Could be the start of the next dynasty in the SEC. And welcome back to reality, Ole Miss. I said this in Sosa's space the other night. Welcome back to reality. You know, welcome back to going 8-4, 9-3 every year, like you typically do, and won't make the playoff. So you had your hand up,
Bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think the Lane Kiffin is hire is great because I think he's this great football coach or this great leader. I think he's a good offensive play caller.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good recruiter, and he understands the climate in which the game is played now. But he's not the best football coach that got hired in the cycle. He's the best car salesman that got hired in this cycle. And part of being a good college football coach, that's why I asked the question earlier. I think part of being a good college football coach now is being the best used car salesman there is.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no guarantee on either end if you're going to be able to deliver, whether it be on a player side or a coach side, because the only thing teams have to offer players now is money. And it requires a coach that can tell these millionaires to come together and be part of something bigger than themselves. I don't know if Lane Kiffin is that guy. I know one thing for sure, though. They'll score points and they'll fill seats. Because filling seats, scoring points is a direct viewing point of sports. They're going to score a lot of points. We're going to watch them. They're going to have a lot of money to get a lot of athletes. Does that guarantee that they're going to win championships? No. Are they in a better situation today than they were a couple of weeks ago? Absolutely. Absolutely. Lane Kiffin is an upgrade from what they had and where they were. I will also say I still today, even with Lane Kiffin being hired at LSU,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's a top 5 coach in his conference. And I'm going to leave it at that.
In his conference, whoa.
He's not a top 5 coach in the SEC. He's a top 2 or 3 play sequencer and play caller and understanding patterns to go against opposing defenses. I'll give him that. If I'm wrong, tell me. You guys watch football, college football every week. If I'm tripping, 0-0, Perlito, if I'm wrong, tell me.
I would agree. I mean, now top 5, I don't know. Look, these are the coaches I would have ahead of him. Obviously mine. Personally, I think the best hire of the cycle was Summerall. Personally, I mean, he's been very impressive in his just overall disposition. What he was able to do at Kentucky, what he was able to do when he literally had a quarterback pull up in May,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in the conference championship on Friday or on Saturday, whenever they play. A guy who has brought programs from the dead as well. So I think he's the best coach. And now that he has big major resources, I was nervous about the Florida game this year. I'm even more nervous about it next year. So that's one thing for me.
Bro, he's not better than Elko. He's not better than Venables. He's not better than you could say 50-50 with DeBoer. He's not better than Eli Drinkwitz. He is not a better football coach than Eli Drinkwitz.
Hey, I can't be totally mad at that because Eli was competing with the Blue Bloods for recruits, and he's pieced it together in the portal. I know the quarterback situation wasn't the greatest this year, but it's not always going to be the greatest over there at Mizzou. Hey, now Heupel, I think he's a better play caller than. I don't know. He's a better play caller.
What I will say is this: I think Heupel's a better play designer. I think when it comes to sequencing and play calling, Lane's still a little bit better. That's just me.
Yeah, I feel that. And he has a gimmick offense, quote unquote. So, I understand that. I definitely understand that. But yeah, my thing with Lane Reed is this: and I'm not even talking about anything technical X's and O's. I'm just talking about volatility of the two situations.
Mhm.
One, being the head coach of the LSU Tigers,
Mhm.
and two, being Lane Kiffin. Now, I know we were all in this space on Sunday. You know, nobody should be mad at Lane making the decision. I totally agree with that. But it's just the fact of how, one, he thought he could have his cake and eat it too. He drug out this situation, and I think he's gonna get on a lot of people's nerves. Like, it ain't always gonna be peaches and rainbows. And I get it, you know. Les Miles won a championship here. Ed Ogeron won a championship here.
He better than Alco.
He's not better, not a better football coach, not to me. But
That's what I'm saying. He better than Sark. He better than Sark.
Who,
I think he is
Kiffin?
better.
Kiffin better than Sark?
I think he's a better play designer. Is he a better overall coach? I don't know.
I think he's a better.
recruiter?
I also agree. I think he's a better play caller.
I don't think he's a better recruiter than Sark, personally.
Oh no, I want to hear what you got to think.
Yeah, Colton, what do you think?
To me, this reminds me so much. Oh, it reminds me a lot of Lincoln Riley to USC, because when Lincoln left Oklahoma to go to USC, everyone was like, he's going to have a grand old time at USC. They're going to win Pac-12 championships galore because he's a great coach. But the thing is, great coaches aren't all it takes to win football games. Like, to me, Lane Kiffin at LSU sounds really good. I don't think it's necessarily the greatest hire this offseason, like I think Sosa said. I think it's a very good hire. You're definitely getting an upgrade from a coaching perspective from Brian Kelly, but that doesn't necessarily translate to winning football. I think Lane Kiffin will have a ton of success, but I thought Lincoln Riley would have a ton of success at USC, and he's been pretty good. But in his years in the Pac-12, he didn't win a Pac-12 championship.
Mm-hmm.
In the Big Ten, I know it's a completely different, arguably much more difficult conference. He hasn't done anything meaningful in the conference. To me, it feels like this is a good hire for LSU. I don't necessarily see it as LSU is now a top 5 program in football. I see it as they could become that very, very easily with the correct hires. I think him retaining Blake Baker is a very, very good sign for things to come. But I don't think necessarily that Lane Kiffin being LSU's head coach makes them, world beaters or will make them the next Georgia. I think they will be able to compete as long as they spend heavily, which I think is true for every single program, especially every Power 4 program. As long as you're willing to spend at an elite level, you can be at the top of your conference any given year. But to become an Ohio State, I don't think so. To become a Georgia, I don't think so. I think LSU has the potential to be a very great, potentially a national championship winning team with Lane Kiffin as long as he's there. But to me, it doesn't scream like what a lot of people thought Lincoln Riley to USC would scream, which is new perennial powerhouse in the conference. I just don't believe that for a second.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think that I've seen some people compare it to us getting Kirby, and I thought that was absolutely asinine. But Colton, since you brought up the name, I'm talking all time. I'm not talking currently. Is Lane really better than BK all time?
No, he is not. I tweeted that.
No.
He is not a better. He's not more accomplished. He's not. Listen, it's just he didn't fit the SEC, bro. He's an up north dude. He never fit the SEC, and that's okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, and I think because the SEC, and you can call it bias or whatever you want to call it, is looked at as the best conference. If you don't fit there, you're just not good. That's not true at all. I mean, obviously, we've seen other coaches in other schools and other conferences be able to be successful. I know the ranking show is on, so we'll shut up in a second, Reed. But I don't think he's better than BK. I just don't. Like,
Listen, he's better in the SEC. He's better. I think from a structural fit, he's a way better fit at LSU than BK. Not that makes BK a bad coach. It's just, bro. It's just he never fit the culture.
Yeah, I mean, trying to pull off a fake Southern accent is definitely a choice.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin imitating Ed Orgeron didn't help his opening press conference either.
Yeah, I mean, at least yeah. Why does everyone try to fake a Southern accent? Especially Louisiana accent, like, bro. Like,
It's not easy to pull off, buddy.
Now listen, if Lane does some shit here in the transfer portal, like what Ohio State did, where they got like a Caleb Downs, or they get like if they're able to acquire some talent, changing some talent that just over, and I think that's the plan, bro. I think that's the plan. The plan is to just go get the Monstars.
Yeah, I mean, he already has the number 1 overall recruit flipping to LSU, or staying with LSU, but he was in the building when Kiffin pulled up. Like, he was waiting for him. So
yeah, and also I think that the number one thing with Kiffin is that he connects to this generation.
yeah,
These kids fuck with him. You know what I mean? Like they rock with him because of the way he carries himself and the way he talks. They think he's cool.
for sure. All right, Roddy did preface it. The new college football playoff rankings, the final ones before Selection Sunday in 2 weeks, or I guess next Sunday. Yeah, next Sunday. The final ones before then. Number 25, James Madison is at number 25. North Texas, 24. Iowa, 23. Georgia Tech, 22. Houston, 21. Number 20 is Tulane. Michigan drops to 19. Arizona, huge jump up to 18. Virginia, 17. USC, 16. Utah down a few spots to 15. Vanderbilt stays put at 14. Texas at 13. Miami at 12. BYU 11. Notre Dame is down a spot to number 10. Alabama flips with them to number 9. Oklahoma at 8. A&M drops to 7 after losing to Texas. Ole Miss is up a spot to number 6. Oregon at 5. Texas Tech at number 4. Georgia at number 3. Indiana and Ohio State at 1 and 2, respectfully. Therefore, the current bracket would be the number 5 conference champ, the 12 seed, going on the road to Oregon, the 5. Number 9, Alabama. At number 8, Oklahoma in a rematch, except in Norman this time. Another conference champ at number 11, going on the road to Oxford to take on Ole Miss, the 6. Number 10, Notre Dame, going back to College Station to take on the A&M Fighting Aggies. And then Texas Tech 4, Ohio State 1, Georgia 3, Indiana 2. So as this stands, the ACC can be left out of the playoff. With James Madison finally being ranked, there is a possibility if Duke wins the ACC, James Madison and the winner of the American will get in the playoff. Colton, let me go to you first. Immediate reactions.
I enjoy James Madison getting recognized for the first time. It should have been happening for a long time.
Yep.
And to me, that indicates that they are willing to put 2 G5 teams in if Duke does win, which is the obvious choice, but you never know with how these things tend to go. First reactions, I am on the Notre Dame side of the Notre Dame-Miami debate that's going on. I think Notre Dame has played much better down the stretch, which to me is more important than head-to-head. I try to honor head-to-head in my personal rankings as much as possible, but when you're Miami and you lose to Louisville at home and Pitt, was it Pitt? No. Who am I thinking of?
SMU.
SMU. 2 decent football teams in the ACC, but you can't lose to those 2 teams. And for Notre Dame, they have 2 better losses. One of them is Miami. So I am on the train of Notre Dame there. I like how the bracket's laid out. I don't like Alabama and Oklahoma in a rematch. I mean, it'll be a good game. I just hate seeing rematches that soon.
I agree.
But I also hate the fact that they're trying to now sneak Texas in. Texas is not a playoff team with 3 losses. Vanderbilt should be above Texas. I know they beat Vanderbilt, but they also have one more loss, which is Florida, which is preposterous that they're ranked ahead of a 10-2 Vanderbilt. Other than that, I'm not seeing anything that I necessarily dislike. I think it'll end up being Virginia and either Tulane or North Texas as the final 2. That's my prediction.
So Alabama
Ronnie, yeah.
jumped too?
What,
Who
Ronnie?
did Alabama jump?
Alabama jumped Notre Dame.
Why did that happen?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because I told y'all the shenanigans were coming.
Yeah.
And also, second question: does Miami have a better argument than Vanderbilt to be as high as they are?
I would say no.
The ACC's Twitter seems to think so. They're posting a bunch of stuff about vouching for Miami to make the playoff.
Don't lose to if you don't lose to either Louisville at home or SMU, you're in the ACC championship.
Yeah, I mean,
and you're in the playoff.
Carson Beck don't throw 6 interceptions in 2 games.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very simple. I don't get the lobbying. If you suck, you suck. And I liked Miami to start the year, but there is no scenario in which a 10-2 Miami makes it in over Alabama, makes it in over a conference loser with 2 losses to the same team, BYU, and Alabama, a Vanderbilt, an Oklahoma, a Notre Dame. I completely – they would be the last team I'd put in over any of the teams I just mentioned.
Yeah, so my first question was, I think my most egregious thing, especially after the performance. I mean, if Cam Coleman doesn't drop the ball, how do we confidently say Auburn don't go up there and tie the game? I don't know how you can confidently say that. They marched down the field in the second half 3 times in a row. So I don't know how I can confidently say that. Yeah, and my criteria, Colton listed his head-to-head, and also my criteria is more a little bit kind of eye testy in a way, where it's what is the extreme, and what I mean by that is, do you have an extremely good win? Like, I don't know who has the best win in the country this year. I couldn't name it off the top of my head. I can tell you that Texas, and I said this for weeks, I've said this for a month, Texas has the worst loss. They're extreme.
I have an opinion who has the best one in the country right now.
No.
I'm going to go with Indiana on the road at Oregon as the best one.
Right. And that's what I think got them at 2, right? So the extremity of or the extreme nature of what happened during your season, I think, should weigh a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You lose to Florida 29-21. Florida hasn't scored that many points against anybody else in the conference, other than when they just smashed Florida State this past weekend. So I think that's an extreme that you have to take into account. I think Miami's loss to Louisville is another extreme that you have to take into account, as well as their loss to SMU. I get it was on the road, but hey, you're telling me how you're smashing these teams, but SMU just lost to Cal.
Yeah.
So how does that look? And you just got positioned to, if somebody gets screwed, you're probably going to be one of the first ones in. So I don't have any major issues. It's just Bama jumping Notre Dame makes 0 sense to me at all.
Yeah, I'd agree. Notre Dame did exactly what they had to do. I guess they're factoring in their logic would probably be strength of schedule. But, I mean, in terms of pure record, in terms of pure outcome, I don't see a world in which that's warranted at all, especially with both teams winning. I think Alabama won a more important game, but Notre Dame wasn't in a position where they necessarily – if they lose, essentially, yeah, obviously you drop them down, but they weren't in a situation where it's, you're in a spot where you could lose the final game of the season.
Yeah.
But I don't think that necessarily should factor into – like the importance of Alabama beating Auburn more so, I think, speaks to the detriment of that team more so than Notre Dame going and destroying Stanford in the final game of the season.
Yeah, and that's what I guess irritates me the most. Like, we're choosing which week's strength of schedule matters more than it doesn't. Like, why does strength of schedule matter more today than it did last week? I don't understand. But I told everyone, like, it don't matter if we put every single team in this bracket. There's going to be an FCS team that is going to get screwed that doesn't make sense. So it's just is what it is, man. At this point.
Here, it seems like they're just trying to create rematches, which I think makes sense from a business perspective, I would say. I obviously would love to see new matchups, but if you have Alabama play Oklahoma, which I assume is probably one of the most watched games this year, Texas A&M Notre Dame, which was one of the greatest games all year, you open that up to, bigger impressions. Like, everybody's going to want to see those rematches. Alabama, can they get their revenge? Is Notre Dame Texas A&M going to be a shootout again, or is it going to be defensive? I hate that. Personally, I hate that. I want to see Notre Dame versus Oklahoma. I want to see Alabama versus Oregon. I want to see those kinds of matchups. But to me, that's other than just saying strength of schedule, which is probably be their cop-out answer. I think they're just trying to create, headline matchups with this one at least.
And it goes back to what I said. We are watching a TV show.
Yep.
So it is what it is.
Well, let me get Sosa's reaction to Notre Dame dropping a spot and what a potential rematch with A&M would look like from his perspective.
It don't matter. It'll all work itself out when the teams in front of us lose their conference championship games. This is all semantics,
Well, that's my thing, Sosa. I want to see, are they going to hold their standard of what they did last year? Conference championship loser doesn't get penalized that much.
Yeah, so
it's all semantics.
So hypothetically, Notre Dame will re-jump Bama if they lose to Georgia. At least that's how it should be.
Yeah, and there's a chance Bama gets removed from the top 12 altogether.
Yeah, that'll be loss number 3.
That would be crazy.
I think they put they find any way possible to get Alabama in.
With 3 losses? Listen, 3 losses, Kalen DeMoore, you are a Nittany Lion.
Listen, I agree. I don't think they should. I just think they find a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were arguing to put 9-3 Alabama in last year over 10-2 or 10-3. 11-2 SMU.
Yeah, 11-2.
Yeah, but bro, like, I just 3 losses, dog. If they do 3 losses, then Congress is going to be talking about NIL by February.
Yeah, and Greg Sankey is going to try to remove the SEC from all.
I swear, like, if they do that, bro, if they let an SEC team in with 3 losses when Vanderbilt's sitting right there, then what's the fucking point of the conference?
Well, shit, in their eyes, Texas, because they put Texas above Vanderbilt. But I personally think Vanderbilt should be in above, BYU, Miami, and Texas.
That's why I hate Sarkisian, because you just seen him all up and down the timeline and all on TV talking about how they beat 3 top 10 teams.
All because of his post game, yeah.
No, I mean, like, he's actively doing pressers and interviews, stating these things.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, you got a campaign. Because your seat's going to get a little bit warm if you miss playoff.
Yeah,
they won't fire him.
Just a rebuttal on that Alabama thought, because they do have the most ranked wins out of anyone in the field. Just want that to be food for thought as well.
Yeah, 100%. I get it.
But I completely agree. Losses are a lot more impactful than ranked wins, in my opinion.
Right, and I think their 2 losses, are they in the top 3 losses category, given what we know now?
No. Well,
I mean, that Florida State loss, I get it, beginning of the season. however much weight you want to put on beginning of the season is how much weight you want to put on it.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, you lost to a team who Florida absolutely smoked. So what do you want to do? Like, how do you feel about it? I don't know, man.
Man,
And
I'm gonna say it again, bro. People were talking crazy to me about Florida State before the season, like, oh, we're gonna make the playoff, man. Look at them now, exactly where I put them. Predicted 6 wins for them. They didn't even get 6.
Yep.
Man, people were talking crazy to me, bro. Roddy, I gotta send you the receipts because
trust me, brother. I got people still vouching for Norvell, dude.
Yeah, it's a crazy world we live in. A lot of delusion on the timeline. A lot of delusion. You guys want to get into any of the conference championship previews tonight? Thoughts, or you want to save that everything for Thursday?
We can. I don't care. Your show.
I was about to say because I was still trying to formulate some of my thoughts, but I guess we could preview some of the G5 conference games. So let me pull up. So Roddy, we'll start with the one that's going to be. Is it at Kennesaw or is it at Jack State?
I think it's at Jack State, yeah, because they're the number 1 seed. They beat Kennesaw, so I think they got to be.
Okay. Well, we'll start with that one. The Kennesaw State Owls taking on the Jacksonville State. I do not know their mascot. Apologies. Jack State.
Gamecocks.
Gamecocks. That's right. Yes. Kennesaw State going to Jack State. This is the Conference USA championship game. Kennesaw State is laying 2.5 on the road. This is a 7:00 kick on Friday. Again, Conference USA championship game. Kennesaw State right down the road from Roddy, and actually had Amari Odom at his Thanksgiving dinner. So that's pretty cool. Crazy world. So I picked Kennesaw to win just solely because I've watched a few of their games this year for betting purposes. Haven't watched a lot of Jack State, so I know what I'm getting out of Kennesaw State. I know Jack State has a really good running back in Cam Cook, but aside from that, that is all I know about Jack State. I think Kennesaw State wins this game, but again, because I've watched them, I know how they play. So I'm going to take the 2.5 with Kennesaw State, and they win the Conference USA. Roddy?
CUSA. I would be in alignment with you. I think that Kennesaw, Amari is he seemed locked in. I mean, I was talking to him, it was Thanksgiving. I'm sure he wanted to chill. But he seemed very locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Very, willing for the opportunity. So I did kind of sense that from him, and I think they're going to come in with a revenge on their mind. I mean, we got 2 revenge matchups in the conference championships this weekend, and it's going to hold a lot of weight. I think to face a team that beat you, you're going to be able to look back at all the things that you did wrong, look at film and whatever, and try to figure out a better formula to win. In that moment. So I think Kennesaw State is definitely a team that has a lot of, I think the history and the opportunity of what they're trying to do for the school. I think that when in rules also, I like Kennesaw State in this matchup as well.
Colton, thoughts on the Conference USA championship?
Yeah, I understand a lot of the narrative for Kennesaw State, and personally, I just like Kennesaw State more. But in terms of just matchup, I think Jacksonville State matches up well, as we saw last time with Kennesaw State. They beat them, I think, by 11 or close to it, maybe 10. I don't like Kennesaw State's defense down the stretch. They've given up over 100 points in the last 3 games. I think Jacksonville State is able to, have an offense as they've had all year. They're able to outscore rather than just pummel teams, and I think that's what happens this week.
Sosa, any thoughts on Conference USA?
What everybody already said.
Word. All right. At the same time on Friday, 7:00, we have the Sun Belt Championship. Now ranked number 25, James Madison is taking on Troy at home in Harrisonburg. James Madison is laying 23.5, total at 47.5. It's JMU. It is strictly JMU. Next. Who wants to go next? It is JMU Belt.
I think with how the Sun Belt is with divisions, it is a prime example at why divisions were always not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the absolute route of the century. I would take whatever you said, 23.5.
Yep.
I might ladder that to like 30.5. That's James Madison all day.
Hey, look, that team total is
I was
looking
just
sweet as cherry pie.
Man, you read my mind. 34.5 minus 120. Woo! You're telling me James Madison set to score 30? Yeah, bro. Like, well, maybe potentially.
Yeah, he's leaving, man.
Well, no, I know he's leaving, but if they screw around and make the playoff,
yeah, he's leaving, man. He's getting out of there, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. James Madison, team total over 34.5 minus 120 looks very good. Sosa, any quick thoughts?
Go Dukes! You already know.
Yeah, JMU winning. I mean, potentially could help Notre Dame. I don't know if them winning would help Notre Dame at all. But all right, we'll do one more game. The Mountain West Conference Championship, which, you know, I said this, I can't remember which space I said this in, but I think it was low space on Monday. There was a 4-way tie at the top of the Mountain West between Boise State, UNLV, San Diego State, and New Mexico. 4-way tie at the top of the conference. I think they were all 7-1. They did a computer-generated random draw to see what the conference championship game was going to be, and they did it based on one of the 4 like main metric systems, like S&P Plus and like 3 other ones. And they came out with UNLV going back to Boise State again this year for the conference championship. Boise State is laying 4 points at home, total at around 58.5. UNLV, I think, has a more capable offense. Yes, Boise State has been known for a really stout defense, and they have one again this year. They have a really solid defense. I think UNLV just has a better ability to attack that defense. They've evolved offensively with Dan Mullen as their head coach. I think they're going to be able to put up a lot of points in this game. Their team total is at 27.5. Could see a little sprinkle on that, but I think UNLV wins this game outright. I'm gonna take the Rebels on the road in Boise to win the conference championship. Now, as someone does give their take, I am looking up the weather for Saturday because that's obviously going to be a factor in Boise, Idaho. So if someone wants to give their thoughts, and then I will give a weather report.
Well, I got nothing, man.
Defense.
That's the
name of the game.
The under looks really good, 58.5. And just
Boise State. Sorry, continue.
I was just going to say, for the record, 46 degrees on Saturday, around 40 degrees at kickoff. Slight chance of snow in the forecast.
Yeah. The fact that it's in Boise, that's enough for me. Boise's got the much better defense. Offense is, Boise's defense or offense has been lackluster at times.
Mm-hmm.
But I would take Boise at its worst offensively over UNLV's defense most of the time.
I can't just play it in Vegas and like just say it's neutral site or whatever. Like, come on, man. I want to play on the blue turf, man. It's gonna be cold. Whatever. Yeah, I have nothing in this game. Salute to you, brother.
The only comparison I was going to make to this game, now granted it was the first game of the season, but just remember how South Florida took on this Boise State defense in the first game of the season. I think UNLV could do some similar things in this matchup. Just want to put that out there.
South Florida, to push back on that a little bit, also has the best group of 5 quarterback in the country.
Damn right.
I like Anthony
Damn right they do.
Calandria. I do not think Anthony Calandria is the caliber of quarterback we're talking about when we talk about South Florida.
That's true. That's true. It's just the vibes I get from this game.
Baby Cam.
That's fair.
Man, if anyone's been listening to this program before, we love Byron Brown on this program. Big Byron Brown show. And it's sad South Florida doesn't get a run in at the conference or the playoff. Unfortunately, thought that was a real chance for a minute. But gentlemen, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No North Texas game?
Nah, man, that's a playoff matchup,
That's a
bro.
good one?
Yeah, that's a big one. We're gonna talk about that Thursday.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
Maxon. What about Maxon?
That's on Saturday. We'll do that Thursday too. Plus, I think that'll be a really good game.
Yeah, nothing really from me. Again, I think hopefully y'all hire a coach, bro. I don't know what else to say to you.
Yeah.
Hopefully y'all hire a coach.
Yep. I mean, there's nothing really more to talk about on that front because there's literally nothing new. Nothing new. Although that was a good point you said earlier, Roddy, about the coach has to be a part of the Church of Latter-day Saints. I didn't even think about that, and that really narrows down your options. Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, bro. Like, I mean, I don't like BYU is gonna. They got money too. Like they're gonna throw him the bag. If he was like, hey man, they calling me. I had a great season this year. I know we're 12.5 point dogs in the conference championship, and we're probably gonna get our head busting again. But come on, man. Like, who you gonna get better than me? Be like, you're right. I'll give you the money.
Colton, any final thoughts? I was about to say exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get a head coach. I think Sumrall so far is the best hire we've seen. I like Golish just out of principle at Auburn. Offense, you know what I'm saying? I like a lot of the hires, and I dislike the non-hire that Penn State has gone for so far.
I love the Golish hire. Just real quick on that, I think he will bloom in Auburn. I think he'll fit that community very well and quickly.
Yeah, perfect spot for him personally. I was lobbying for him for a lot of jobs.
Yeah, I mean, he was wanting the Auburn job this whole time, bro. He's a ginger, bro. I mean, what more can you say?
Salute. Yeah, I think that's a great hire for them, even though they're one of my biggest ops. Salute to them for making a good decision.
Man, biggest ops. You picked them last week.
I did, and they almost won if their best player didn't fumble the damn ball. Shit.
Yeah,
I know that was gonna happen.
That was an impressive performance in Cam Coleman, and I don't mean that in a good way. Sosa, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, man. I hope everybody has a good next couple of days, and we get into the weekend, and can make a ton of money. I think that
Sure.
I would like to believe that there is some level of unknown coming, but favorites really, really, really handle business in these games. So,
except for in the SEC championship. All right, see you guys later.
This dude, bro. This guy. All right, for your host, Reed Napper, Sosa Pick at Sosa Picks on Twitter, at ONO Sports Colton, Roddy, aka Perlito, at Roddy404. I'm your host, Reed Napper. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back Thursday, same time, same place, for the preview show. Conference Championship Week, huge weekend of college football on tap. Like, comment, subscribe if you're listening to the playback, and appreciate you guys joining live. We will see you guys on Thursday. Peace.